All right, good evening, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so it's been a few days since I've been on here. Last time I came on was on not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before. Was it Sunday before last? I think the Sunday before last when I was saying how I was in the store and I ran to this girl and she told me that the lady who raised me had transitioned. And so I did like just a little brief talk, okay, but it was just like off the cuff, off the fly. And I'm going to talk about it again tonight, but it's still kind of off the cuff, off the fly. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is kind of like what I did before, in a sense, okay? It's kind of hard to talk about the situation knowing the betrayal, okay? But at the same time, I did through my mediumship abilities, I did speak to her, okay, and she made it clear that she was there, okay. Um, so through this process, even though finding out, she wasn't my birth mother, and the betrayal and all that kind of stuff that y'all have heard me fussing about on here for those who have been watching. Um, which I think is still relevant. Okay, I don't take away those things, what I said. But what I wanted to do was, it's like, because I'm not in touch with anybody, okay? So for me, okay, because this was a lady who raised me, this is a lady who I called mother, because it was like sometimes I'm like, what was that all about? And I started to think about um, some conversations that we had, and how she would share things with me about her life, about things that she felt. Now, like I said, she was kind of secretive, she was kind of quiet on things like that. But because she told me that, the way I grew up, we didn't talk about things like that. But one thing she said about me was that I was very, open. She's like, you just express how you feel. She told me that when I was real young, you just express how you feel. And I was like, yeah, well, don't you? You know what I'm saying? And no, she didn't. But as I got older, she did begin to share some things with me. And I kind of looked back on some things and I said, you know what? I kind of feel that maybe in some ways this is no excuse for what happened. Okay. And I'm talking about her. I'm not talking about the rest of y'all, okay, who have participated, and some of y'all, definitely one person still on it, whatever. Talk about this lady who raised me, changed my dirty ass diapers, and all of that type of thing, okay, and pretty much, I don't know if I want to say stopped her life, for me and my sibling or whatever. I will say this though, that she did tell me one time that she didn't want children. That's she didn't want children. She wanted to be like a traveling nurse, and she told me one time that we were talking about her way she grew up, and she was just like, especially like when I was younger, and me and my sibling, we might have a fight or something, and he would say something crazy. And one time I remember I was so angry, and she said to me, when I was growing up, she said, because she was the youngest girl. I think there were 10 altogether, so she was the youngest girl, but she was the third to the youngest. And she was real skinny and lanky, and she had glasses. And she was telling me how they used to call her Four Eyes, her siblings, and call her names, and all of this kind of thing, and how it hurt her. She said, but she said, but if I held on to that hurt, and counseled me through it so I wouldn't, hate my sibling for life, which that was the track I was on, okay, at that point in time. And she was just telling me, was how she didn't want to stay here in the city, how she felt like she was different from them and she wanted a different life. And then I began to think about some things, over this time, and I was like, well, maybe in a way she felt like life wasn't fair to her, or that she ended up doing things that she didn't want to do. And if I am the product of an affair, well, I mean, like, that's kind of not fair to her either, because she was just saying how she just cried, when the second child came along or whatever. And it wasn't what she wanted. And, I said, it sounds like maybe life wasn't fair to her. Or I can't say that, or just things happen that she didn't want to happen. It still doesn't take away, in my mind, the actions that she did take, okay, toward me, that were in a realm of, betrayal. It doesn't take away that, okay? But I just opened my thinking, because in the midst of it, like, nah, lady. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I remember at one point, and I got a series of pictures I want to show. At one point when I was younger, I remember looking her. I think I might have been in seminary, so I was probably like in my late 20s. And I remember thinking to myself, like, what happened to my mother? Because it just seemed like something in her changed. And definitely, though, maybe those last 3 years that I was around her, last 2 to 3 years, I was like, I don't know who this woman is at all. It's just something totally different. And I know people, they get older, they change, and it's like, I'm like, was she always this way, or did something happen? And it's like, I've just talked to some people in passing, and like, well, I don't want to say in passing, but um, people, nobody, none of y'all who I know who gonna watch this or who are watching, none that y'all know, but they're like, sometimes it's like that's how that person always was. It just came out as they got older. Then I wonder, so was she sick? Various things, but nevertheless, I want to show pictures of her and myself that I really, really like. I always love of her, and because this is the person that like I said, I was in love with her, who I loved. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys some pictures of her. This isn't this pretty. I love this picture. I think she was in high school. I think this was her senior picture. Okay, in high school. I just love. I always loved that picture. I thought she was so pretty, and her little nose there. Okay. This is her. I think her brother. I don't remember where I got this picture from of her, but this is when she was, like in elementary school. And how I used to look at this picture all the time and be like, I know this lady. And then another part of me would be like, well, that's your mother. And it's like, nah, it's something greater here. I know, like, this picture was just all too familiar to me, like I knew her. Okay. Still is. Still is. Okay. But anyway, this was like a picture of her when I was in I think I was in elementary school. Yeah, elementary school, because I remember how she used to wear her hair. I used to hate that hairstyle. I couldn't tell her, you know what I'm saying, unless I get slapped in the mouth. You know what I'm saying? But I used to hate that hairstyle. Okay, but anyway, I remember that hairstyle. I remember them glasses. I remember the shirt. And the necklace and everything. So I remember that picture. I thought she was so cute. Okay. Here's another one. Now, this might have been my maybe early high school or junior high, which y'all call middle school nowadays, but maybe junior high school years. I remember that picture that day. Okay. And where she took it and everything. This picture of her was more like my high school years. Okay. All right. Now these are pictures before that I'm about to show before my time. Okay. Um, this is a picture of her and my dad. Okay, and my dad. Let me see. This is my dad's mother, and this is his stepfather. Okay, both of them are transitioned. Okay, and I always love that picture. I love the dress she had on and the bell sleeve and everything. All right, this is a picture of my dad, her, and my sibling right there. I thought that was such a cute picture of them. All right, this is she told me they were at a dinner. I think I got the picture. Her brother, he was a hair, stylist, cosmetologist. He had owned a wig salon. He had owned, but I think during the riots or something like in the 60s, they bombed it or something like that. set it on fire or something. But anyway, so he had a beauty salon, and I think this was I think it was a hair show or something. That's my dad. Okay, Cool and the gang. All right. Now there's just I don't. We were at her brother's. No, I don't remember where we was. I don't remember. I remember everybody that was there. It was me, her, her brother, her nephew, my brother, and her nephew's son. But I don't. It was Thanksgiving. I don't know whose place we were at. I can't remember. I remember going there. It was when I first came back to Cleveland. I hadn't been in Cleveland long. When I first came back from what was the last place I lived before I moved back here? Oh, Memphis, Tennessee. So I think I had come back that August. This was Thanksgiving of that year. I don't remember whose place we was at. I just remember being there. Now I got this picture because it's so funny to me because I remember this day. We were home on, me and my sibling were home from school on vacation. I think it was in the summer or something. And we were all laughing and joking with each other. And I took the picture and I kept the picture because my major was film production, and I took the picture. And I was like, "Look at my major, film production, and look at all that headspace I got up there." But something that me and him were saying to her, we were laughing, having a good time, and she was kind of fussing at us, but she was playing at the same time. So I took that picture of her real quick. All right. This is when she first got married. She was married twice. Okay, and my father was her second husband. This is her first marriage. Okay, isn't that a pretty dress? They weren't married long. Okay, she told me that story. All right. Um, you can't see her. You really see my sibling more, but I always liked that picture because there he was a baby and she was in there washing the dishes. Okay, but it was a picture that I liked. Now, this is a picture. See, I believe this dress is a beautiful dress. I believe she told me she made that dress because she was a seamstress. Okay. And it was at a camp. Now, she was a nurse at this camp. It was called Camp Mueller here, and it was for inner city youth. And we went every year, with her. She was the camp nurse, and her name was Healing Water. Okay, Healing Waters. That's what they called her. Okay, and we were there, and she took that up. They took that picture of her. I love. I wanted that dress. Okay, but by the time I wanted it, I was older. She didn't even have a dress no more. But that was a beautiful dress. Okay, here me and her go. Okay, I think this is a Sunday after church. That's me. That's her with the big church hat on. We were at her sister's house, my aunt Geneva. Okay, this is her at a breakfast. These are my dad's two sisters. If y'all watching, I hope y'all don't mind. I'll cover y'all's face if y'all ever see. But that's her when she was very young. Okay, with a wig on. That was before I was born. And here they are again. My dad. He did karate or whatever, and that's her. Okay. I believe she told me she was pregnant there with my brother. That's my dad's sibling in the back. That's my aunt. She laughing. I always thought that was funny looking at her laugh back there. She was back there with her husband then. Here is the picture I was telling you about when they were at the hair show. Okay. So there she is right there. I know y'all probably can't see these that good, but so what? There's my they might be kind of blurry, okay? But there she is right there. It's my dad, my uncle, her brother, his wife. Okay. And I don't know who these other two people are. His wife, my Aunt Beverly, she did my hair for years up until I went away to college and cut it all off. Okay. Her and my dad again. I thought that was such a pretty picture of them. So cute. They're so cute. Okay. Here we go. Here she is, my sibling, and that's me right there. I thought she was so cute. Ain't she cute? Now, I don't know whose house we were at. I keep thinking when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's my grandmother's house. But then the more I looked at it, I said, no, I think that's my aunt's house, her sister. I think that's whose house we was at because we used to be there a lot. Now, here she is. Okay. This was, she looks like in this picture to me, because when I first saw this picture, I got confused. There's a lady at that church. Okay. I don't have a problem with the lady, but I sure don't like her daughter. That's the one I went off on the one time with her dream infiltration. She hasn't done it in a while, but they sent their cousin not too long ago. But he can come through anytime he wants with his fine chocolate behind. But anyway, she looks in this picture like that woman, that girl's mother. Okay, she looks a lot like her in that picture to me. Here is our childhood home. Okay, there she goes. Her leopard jacket on. She told me we were on either we were on our way to church or we just got home from church. This was the first. Now this wasn't the first house we lived in. This was the second one in East Cleveland on Plymouth. Okay, it was a dead end. Well, yeah, it was a dead end street. At the end of the street, there were apartments. Our house was the last house going down on the left. Okay, so there we are. That's me right there with the little roller. I do have a little roller in my, yeah, with the little roller up my head. And I don't know if she said she made that coat my sibling had on right there. I'm not sure. Okay, but anyway, okay. And here we are again. I believe we're at her sister's house, my aunt's house. I believe that's where we are there. Okay, that's what it looks like. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Okay, but I thought she was so cute. Okay, in that picture. Okay, now she's not in this picture, but the camp that we were at, that when she was the nurse for the camp, the inner city camp, Camp Mueller. This was the cabin. Now I stayed in the cabin with her for years because I was too young to camp, with the other kids. Okay, and Lord, when I got old enough and they made me scream and cried my head off. But anyway, that was the cabin that she was, where we stayed in. Okay, I this little boy, I don't remember his name, but I was so in love with him. You see me all up close up on him. Okay, and the other one is my brother, my sibling here. This was that's her. This was my 14th birthday. We were my grandmother's church. I went to church with my grandmother, and they had a dinner, and it just happened to fall on my birthday. And so they had a cake for me and everything. And there she is. She came. All right. This is like my favorite picture of us. I remember this day. We took this. Now it got green crayon all over it because when my daughter was when my daughter was a little toddler, she got a hold of it. But I didn't trip because I got a whole bunch of these. Okay. I think I had like 2 or 3 more of these pictures right here. But this was my birthday. Okay. It was on the 4th. We went to they were separated at that time, but my dad came. He lived at an apartment building here called Indian Hills. Back then, it's on Euclid. Back then, it was like an upscale place. It's not anymore, okay? But anyway, and we went to, was it Brown Derby? I think it was Brown Derby. I turned 6 years old. I think that's what the name of it was. And what they did for my birthday, they brought out, was a round table, and they brought out a cake. And they had one candle in it, and it flared, and it shot off up in the air and whatnot. Okay, so that's that. That's and we went and took pictures. I think we took those pictures before we went. Yeah, we went and took the pictures before we went out to eat. All right. I wish I had the another one. I couldn't find another one. I know it's around here somewhere though. Okay, because like I said, my daughter, she was just a baby, and got the green crayon, a pen or whatever. It looked like a little marker, and wrote all over it. Okay, but that's what I'm saying. This dress, this red dress. She made this dress. Like I said, she was a seamstress. So this was like my favorite dress when I was a little girl. It was long, okay, went all the way, to the floor or whatever. Okay. Here was another, we did a fashion show, I think at that church or something, Jonas Temple. Okay. She made these outfits here. Okay. It was what's the material, velvet or something like that? She made those, okay? This was Easter. She made our outfits. Oh, yeah, she made these. Okay, he had on a pink tie, and we both had on white. I had the pink little vest on. She made those, okay? I don't know if she made these, but I just like the picture because it was our childhood home, okay? Right there on Plymouth, and there go me, all right? Okay, there we are again, all right? And here's that same day from the other picture. Okay, with me with the little roller. We must have been going to church because I got the roller in my hair. All right, but I loved that house. I loved it and did not want to move from there when we moved. I don't think my sibling wanted to move either, but we had to. Okay. Here we are at the church that I tell you all about. This is the old church. Okay. There's my sibling looking up in the sky. And that's that big bundle of joy. That's me. And that's her right there holding me. Okay. And here we are. This is the first house that we lived in. So she told me like when I was about 1 year old is when we moved to the other house that I was showing you guys here. Now that's supposedly me in there. And yeah, that's me. She holding me right there. This is the first house that we lived in. She said they was coming from church, and she said my dad took the picture. Okay, and that was for that fashion show again. Okay, when me and him wasn't fighting. All right. All right, that's the old stuff. This is I think somebody got married. I think this was a wedding we went to. Okay, and there she is. Okay, there's me right there, my sibling. I believe it was a wedding. This was like my favorite little outfit back then. I wore it on Easter Sunday, and then I just wore it as often as I could after that. I think I was about maybe 13 years old or something like that. All right, those are old pictures. Oh, here go another one. Here we are. Now I believe this was my grandmother's house that we were at. I was pissed about something. Okay, I remember. I was mad about, but this little outfit, I remember that outfit, honey. That was my favorite. Whoa, when I was little, that was my favorite little outfit right there. Okay, and I'm pretty sure it was a Sunday after church. Okay, and I can't remember what the hell. But look, the little for the people of my generation, the little rollers on the side when they put the little curly cues on the side right there with the ponytail or the little bun. I was mad about something that day, child, honey. Okay, but anyway, let's keep on. Okay, these are okay, and this is there I go again with the little outfit she made. Isn't that pretty? She made that. Okay. Now she's not in this picture, but this is the picture. This is the house on Plymouth that I did not want to move from. Okay. I don't think he wanted to move either, but it was small. It was only 2 bedrooms. It was small and whatever. We moved. Okay. But I love this picture. This was in the living room. I remember the couch. I love the couch and everything. And I always had that little roller right up there. One time I wore that roller so much I had it in it. I was sitting in Sunday school, okay, with the roller in my head, okay. But anyway, right. Here's another one. Okay, there we are. Now there she's. I don't remember where this was. She told me, but I don't remember. Oh, okay. I don't remember. But this was my aunt who used to do my hair, my Aunt Beverly, and this was her daughter-in-law. Okay. I don't think she was a daughter-in-law yet. Okay, but that but there she is. And back then, this is when I was young, because I remember that purse. I remember that purse she had. She just when she seemed a little quieter to me, that was like more her personality. It seemed like kind of quiet person. Okay. I think as I got older, she got a little bit more open and talkative. Like I said, she began to share things with me about, just some of her life stuff. Not a whole lot, but some things as I got older that, she was like, the way she grew up, you didn't talk about certain things and you didn't share certain things, okay? But as I got older, she was more open with me and shared stuff about her, okay? I'm trying to get the older pictures out the way. Okay, here's another one. Oh, here's that other picture. I made a picture, like I said, when she was fussing. You can see the look on her face when she was fussing at both of us. I can't remember. But it was so funny. Whatever it was, I just remember all of us laughing. Okay. Her and my sibling, younger years. Okay. She was kind of fashionable. I don't know if she made any of that she has on there. Okay. I don't remember her telling me one way or the other if she did. Okay. Here is Now, I wish I had more pictures, right? But my sibling really, it really pissed me off, but he got a hold of, I think, my grandmother, somebody's picture albums. I think my grandmother picture albums or whatever, um, and took them all and didn't ask nobody. Would you like some of these pictures before I just swipe them and take them off of myself? And that shit pissed me the fuck off. And that's how he was, a little arrogant, nasty, very, very nasty to do something like that. I hope you watch, okay? But very nasty and arrogant to do something like that and not even consider anybody else. But he was always like that. I mean, he was always like that with me. Okay, I don't know about nobody. I don't know how a wife could stand his fuck ass, but he is on number 3. All right. But anyway, it's some good stuff about him too. Okay. But that's just the motherfucking truth of the matter. Okay. Um, anyway, okay, this was the house where we, like I said, we went somewhere for Thanksgiving. Maybe it was his place. I don't know where the hell we were. I cannot remember. But that's her. That's me. Like I said, that's when I first had moved back to Cleveland. That's her brother, my Uncle William. He has transitioned a long time ago. But we were there for Thanksgiving. Okay. Now, I've shared how she was my pastor's personal secretary. This was his office, and they were in. This was her office space. Okay. You see all that. She would often have me come up and help out or whatever. If I want to make a little extra money or whatever, she would, come on up and we got this, we got that, we do. Have been doing this since I was like 14 years old or whatever. So there she is, and that's my picture in the back right there. Okay. Now she graduated. She went to, I think when we were small, she was an LPN, licensed practical nurse. She went to school and got an RN, became a registered nurse. But she also went to school for social work. Now, I don't remember what degree this was, okay? But there she is. Now, this is the thing. I didn't go to the ceremony, okay? Because her nephew, he has no longer here, okay? He left me there, and I was pretty pissed about that shit. But see, that's the kind of shit they would do to me often, or they just would do all type of shit, or come up with all these meetings and all, not meetings, but decisions and blah blah blah, all this shit. And I went through years saying to her, "How come y'all don't ever tell me anything? How come I don't know? How come you never share with me?" Oh, that. No, no, why? Eventually, I'm not gonna say it stopped. It probably didn't stop, but what probably stopped was me finding out whatever information they were talking about or whatever. So I would no longer ask, because see, I'm the type that I'm gonna ask questions. You're not just gonna do stuff and I'm just gonna be like just sitting there, duh, and don't ask no questions. Okay. So why, if I am a part of this family, which I never felt like I was, but if I am, sometimes not even the immediate with her and him, my sibling. And I wrote her a long letter one time when I was pregnant, let her know, you have never treated me as though I was a part of this dynamic. Well, now I understand why. Okay. Not that it was right. Okay. But I'm clear. So that wherever it was, I don't know if it was Columbus or someplace like that. Okay. And again, so when she got home, I was like, let's take a picture together. Okay. And I let her know I was pissed about that. I don't want to hear it. Well, I don't care if you don't want to hear it. I don't think it was right. This motherfucker left me here. That's why I wasn't there. As opposed to it just looking like I just didn't come. Okay. Now, this was her, I think this was one of her Black Nurses Association dinners or something like that, because she was in that. That's me right there. Okay. I'm not tall. I just had on some heels. Okay. And that's her. Okay. I'll show you one closer up, because my dad came. That's my dad was living back here in Ohio. Ain't he cold? Ain't he sharp? Okay. But that's the 3 of us. Okay. Now I'm showing this picture because this was her game, Scrabble. Oh, I didn't see my sibling back there. That's him. They used to play Scrabble all the time. Okay, this was the third house that we lived in. This is my grandmother's house. Okay, now when I lived there myself, I lived on the side that my grandmother lived on. Okay, when she was her and my grandfather, were dead. My brother lived there first, and then I had moved over there. But before that, we lived on the other side. I grew up on the other side. I think we moved there when I was about 11 years old from Plymouth. That's why I didn't want to move there, but we did, and it was a nice home. It still didn't have. It was something about that house on Plymouth that I really, really loved, and it was small, for the three of us, especially because, like, when we were little, me and my brother shared a room, but we're getting older, we couldn't share a room. So I took one room and he took another room, and she didn't really have a room of her own, So she's in a way she did sacrifice a lot, but that's them playing Scrabble. I think I played sometimes. I just didn't like playing all them board games and whatnot. Okay, although sometimes I was forced to, not there, but like with babysitters, I had to. Okay, and I don't know. I had the camera, so I was taking pictures. That's her. All right. Okay. I don't know what this was. I don't even know how I had the picture. I just thought she was cute in that picture. She went through a spell where she was wearing wigs a lot. Okay. All right. This was some dinner. I don't even remember. We went out somewhere with some dinner. Okay, that's her. That's my oldest nephew, and that's my booba da booba da my Gaia, my daughter. Okay. All right. Let me show you a couple more pictures. That's This was at my grandmother's house. My grandmother was this. They're in the living room here. My grandmother was in hospice, and the bed was the hospital bed was in the dining room, and my daughter was screaming. That's my daughter right there. She was screaming her head off. Okay, I don't even remember why, but she just was. All right, and this is my daughter's christening. All right, and my tuba, and there she is, and there I am right there. Okay, and there they are together. My daughter was going to church with her a lot, and there they are together. My daughter a little bit older. My daughter had sister locks. Okay, so this is like the early. Well, she got her sister locks when she was like 5. Took them out when she was 10. I took them out. Okay, because she didn't want them no more. And I don't know. I just know that they were growing. You can see they were filling in and stuff, but there they are together. All right. Now she went through this spell wearing, African stuff and head wraps and everything. This was in her place. She got a condo in Shaker Heights, okay, and she always wanted a grandfather clock, so she got her grandfather clock. The thing about that doggone grandfather clock, though, is it stopped working. I don't think she had it long, and that motherfucker stopped working. All right, but nevertheless, she was still glad she had her grandfather clock because she always wanted it. All right. I believe she did a birthday party for herself. I think that's what it was when she turned, was it 60? I think. Okay, at some, I don't know, some event place center or whatever, maybe Lander Haven or something like that. And that's my daughter again. Okay, I think she probably was like 1 or 2. I don't know. Okay, and this was her in her condo. That's her wig wearing days. Okay, her wig wearing days. Okay, I don't think I took that picture. I might have. Okay, I really love this picture. This was in 2000. I like this. I don't know. It was something about this dress on her that I really liked. Okay, and she was getting her hair done all fancy because, like I said, my aunt did our hair. My aunt had a cut our hair, and it was a nice ass cut. You know what I'm saying? Everywhere I went, it was like in the 80s. Everywhere I went, out of town, everywhere. I remember I went to a church, a convention, one of the nationals. People asked me left and right, who cut your hair? My aunt was cold with them scissors, okay? But she transitioned. So anyway, the lady raised me, always felt like she said, I can't find nobody to do my hair like Beverly, like Aunt Beverly. So, but anyway, there she go. Okay. This was, I think, a nurse's picture. So I can't remember what she took this picture for. Okay, but I think this was my high school years. Okay, I remember that's the cut. Okay, I remember the jewelry and stuff. Okay, I like that picture of her. All right. Now I'm gonna show you this picture. I was looking for the big picture, but I couldn't find it. I'm sure it's around here somewhere. This day right here that we took this picture together. This I really, really, really loved this day. It was a Saturday, and I was a senior in high school. It was a Saturday. I was a senior in high school, and I don't remember how the morning went, but I would go through these spells of auditioning for plays, right? Now, you people may have heard about the Kira Moot here. Okay, it's a national landmark or whatever. She never, she did not want me to go there. Okay, I took acting classes at the Cleveland Playhouse. I don't even think they do acting classes anymore. They're not even in the same location. They're down. They used to be on what is that? Chester? No, Carnegie. It was beautiful. Now, when I was younger, it wasn't that it wasn't beautiful, but I remember they redid it. It was really, really beautiful. But then it stayed there for years on Carnegie, and then it moved to Playhouse Square. And then I think they stopped doing classes. But I had been taking acting classes there probably from the age of like maybe 6 or something like that, 7, up until I was 16, off and on. And when I found out about Karen, I was like, I want to go to Karen. She was like, mm-mm. Baby, you don't want to go there. Okay, Karen has gone through so many changes. I think it's the man who is the over it now. I think his name is Tony Sias, I believe. I think he's got it, really nice. I haven't been there, okay, in a while. But anyway, so I went there one time. I was like, well, I want to go. I want to get to Black Theater. I want to go. So she said, okay, I'm gonna take you there. And I went, I asked about classes, the man came out. This was years ago, y'all. This is not this time around. This was like I was probably like about 15 or 16 years old, and the man came out drunk. Talking, baby, we about to close down. I mean, there was always this thing about them about to close down. It just was not handled well, whoever was over it. But like I said, I think it's really stable now, and I think they're doing really great now. Okay, at least as far as my understanding. But I was always going through these spells of finding plays to audition for off and on. So I had found a play to audition for. Okay, but it was also, I think the church was taking these pictures. Okay, I believe. So at the headquarters, not my individual church, but the headquarters. Okay, and I was debating because back then, I was taught that when you audition, you have to go dressed up. You can't go in jeans and all. I don't know what it's like now. I mean, you audition online. I had I was there is a talent agency here called Doherty, and years ago, but my daughter was living, so it might have been like 19 years ago. I had went to the open call, and I got listed, on with the agency. And I did do some work. I did industrial with Key Bank, which it was online for a long time, okay, but it's not on there now. And I did a voiceover for Cozy, which is a local company organization. It aired on the radio. I remember one time I'm driving and I'm listening to the commercial, and I was like, that voice sounds familiar. And then it was like, oh, that's me. And I just, did various auditions, but I had to go into the auditions, or I had to travel. They were over the tri-state area, like here, I think Virginia, I'm not sure, but here, Pittsburgh, and one other city, I can't remember. My dad drove with me one time to Pittsburgh for an audition. But anyway, so when I had my first channel here, and I was the smear campaign began on me, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go back to doing this, with our Doherty. And I knew that when I shouldn't have made the announcement on my community tab, but I did. And I knew it was gonna be sabotaged. And I believe it was. Okay, so I didn't get in, but I did get in year before last. Yeah, no. Was it year before? No, was it last year? No, year before last. Okay, I auditioned again, and I got listed on with the agency, the talent agency, and so much has changed. The contract was just for a year, where I didn't have to ever leave my house for an audition. I just auditioned right here online. It was just so much had changed, you know. And I really had found it was good though, because I had found that I didn't like the process of it. I didn't like, you know, you can't do this, you can't do that's okay. I've been through 40, 50 years of can't do, can't do, can't do. I'm not interested any longer in this. But I did do some auditions with it, but all online. And so it was just good for me to be able to get back in the swing of it actually. And but it was just some aspects of it I didn't like. I got some headshots, they were terrible. I told the agency, they were like, well, can't we, I was like, I don't like none of them headshots, none. Okay, because you know I was old school. A headshot is a headshot, not from down here. That's not a headshot, you know. And it was just a mess. And I said, if I ever do this again, I'm just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know. And I didn't like the new process of things. And headshots. I have gotten some really nice headshots in the past. I was like, if I ever do this again, because I did go with somebody, but I didn't like her work, and I didn't want to tell them I don't like her work. You know, oh, she's one of the best. I don't like this shit. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to say all that, but I didn't like her work. But I did tell them I didn't like any of the pictures, and I didn't. You know, so I really wasn't enthusiastic about it. Okay, but anyway, um, so this particular day, I had found a place to go to audition for a play, and she said, "Okay, we'll go there first, and then we'll go take the pictures." But when I got there, it was somewhere way out. When I got there, it was a children's play, and it was like children auditioning for the play. So it was like, well, I'm too old for this, because I think here I was probably 16. This was my senior year in high school, so I was 16 or 17. Well, if my birthday had hit, I was 16 or 17. But anyway, and then we went to take the picture. And I just always thought it was the nicest picture. It was a nice picture. I don't know what my aunt did to my hair that time. It was a little different than the normal cut, but honey, it was just so fluffy and so pretty. She was just like a master beautician, if you ask me. All right. This picture, I don't think I showed an aspect of this picture one time. Okay, we took this. Okay, that's my daughter. I think she might have been about 4 years old there. Good me. And there's she is. Okay, but what we did was we all got together. I don't think my sibling would mind me showing this. I'm sure he probably doesn't like me calling him names, but so what? Okay, hope you don't have a problem with it. We all got together and took this picture, and I thought it was so nice that we could all, after so many years of them being separated and divorced, that we could all get together and take, like a family picture. There's me. There she is right there. Okay, and my dad, and look at my tuba, and that's my nephew, who is all grown now. I have not seen him in years, but I can tell you one thing. He When he graduated from high school, he was in Indiana. He was living with his dad. They moved to Indiana, and man, he like is the most handsome. I was like, my God, he's gorgeous. He really, I don't know what he's done with his life. I don't have any touch with any of them, but he really looked like he should be a model. He was so handsome, and he just, the way he carried himself is like, wow. Whose child is that? I'm not saying that he's not my brother's child. I'm just saying, like, he just, I'm not even trying to indicate anything like that. I'm just saying, if you were to see him, the way he carried himself, just beautiful, beautiful young man. This was like, set of locks. This probably was my second set of locks that I had started myself. Okay. And I think she was really happy here. I can't tell, even though she's smiling big. I think she just liked the fact that we were all able to be together and take a picture. And you can see the theme of the red, and I think they had on black or blue. I can't tell. And, my dad looking handsome like he is. I just think my dad's such a handsome man, very beautiful man to me. He always has been. This is when I graduated from, here's another angle of the picture, another angle. Okay. This is when I graduated from graduate school. Now, if anybody's in this picture, oh, well, you're going to be shown on here. Okay. And some of these people who have been constantly attacking me with their black magic, like one did last night, the bitch is in this picture. She just won't move on and free her soul from bothering me, lying about me all over fucking town. Okay, and the motherfuckers online and whatnot, because she got to be the star. Okay, but any fucking way, I didn't even know this bitch when I took this picture, and I wish I never met her. Okay, but anyway, there me when I graduated from graduate school, and there she is, the lady who raised me. Of course, I might say my mom or whatever, but right there, next to me, boopity boopity. Okay. All right, and some people in here, some of her family, well, one person in this picture is, well, besides her, okay, is deceased. I don't know about if anybody else died. I have no clue, okay? And then they all took me out to eat at, what was the name of that restaurant in Atlanta? This was in Atlanta, famous black restaurant. I can't remember the name of it right now. It's been so long. It's been so long. It's a woman. Is this Sylvia's? Is that it? Sylvia's, I think. Okay, there we are, and there I am. Okay, I had on some Moshood. Okay, for those of you who are familiar, I had on this beautiful orange garment by Moshood. Okay, and I'm gonna cover this heifer's face up because she shouldn't even be in the fucking picture. But there we are. There she is right there. I thought she was so cute in that picture. Okay. And there I am. Okay. And then the wannabe witch heifer is in there too, who has lied about me all over town to people. Okay. And was a part of this thing. And I did some of her dream infiltration on me last night. She continues to. Okay. I think that bitch mind is gone. More so than it was just in general. Okay. Now, this picture here is a picture that I see that they have used for her obituary that I saw online. I don't particularly care for this picture. I feel like when I first saw the picture years back, okay, I don't remember what year it was, I did like the picture. I don't like the picture now because I feel like you can see the energy there that was off to me, okay? Someone else saw it and it was like, I can see the negative energy there. And I was like, yeah, I can too. Okay. But whatever. Okay. But there it is. Okay. Okay. Very different than the person that I knew. Like I said, when I think about her a lot, I think about her more so from a lot of my teenage years, okay, maybe my early college years, but mostly my teenage years of she just seemed like, unless I just didn't see, you know. But again, when I thought about some things, and like I said, I've talked to her a number of times, okay, and I've asked her some questions. And she done gave me some answers. Okay. All right. And that's the end of that for now. Okay. If it needs to come up later, it will. But because I was going to reveal some things that she shared with me. Okay. But I'm not going to. Because see, it'll be a evil twit who thinks that they're going to reach out to her. Tell me, Miss Lewis. Okay. None of your fucking business, bitch. Bitches and niggers, get a fucking life and leave me the fuck alone. But nevertheless, and leave her alone too. But I still made it clear, okay, to her, and making it clear here, whatever it was all about, wherever it came from, maybe frustration, bitterness, anger. And she did give me a why. Because I was like, why were you doing that? Why? And she gave me her why. And I went to a psychic friend of mine, and she said the exact same thing. I said, that's exactly what she told me, those exact words that you just said. Okay. All right. Now, one more picture. Let's see if I missed any. That's all I have. Okay. Well, I got more, but some of them just her just sitting down. Nothing really relevant like that. Okay. This is the my grandparents' house that I lived in on Edmonton. Okay. This is when I was little. Here, that's probably my grandfather sitting on the. No, that don't look like him. I got a picture of him standing in front of the house with his homeboys. You know, he's just my grandfather was just cool. Okay, but I don't have my glasses on, but I don't think that's him. Okay. Um, at one point there was a gate around. After this, they put a gate around the house. Which when I moved there, I took it down because the door to the gate, well, a fence and the gate was coming off, and I was just like, I don't want it there anymore anyway. So I took it down. But this was the house. Okay. This last time, I don't know if you people still have that house. I don't know. See what your trick in your fucking game was as far as that house is concerned, and as far as I'm concerned. Okay. But I was gonna be safe. I wasn't gonna be nobody sitting fucking duck. Okay. Which is what you all were trying to do, including her. So I got the fuck away. Okay. And my grandparents ain't had no problem with it. Okay. Not no fucking talking heads who don't know shit. Right. But anyway, this right here, I've gone past. It's just gone. Just torn off the fucking porch. Okay, sibling, that's your responsibility. I don't know if you all still have that house. I don't know what you all have really done as far as that house is concerned. When I left there, I went back. I would go to get my mail, and I met a man who claimed he bought the house. I don't know whose name is on that house. Okay, because I looked at some other shit, and I'm like, both of their fucking names are here. So I don't know who has that house. I don't know if the sibling has that house. If they kept the house or they were just trying to get me to fuck up. I don't know what the fuck is going on with that house. But I know one thing: it's a toe up hot fucking mess. And the house wasn't like that. But see, I it's so interesting because when I first moved back here, my focus was on me and me alone, not not family. It wasn't. You can call it selfish. You can call it whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't care. But I just wasn't. And I said, okay, well, maybe I should. But my siblings seem to be so family oriented. And I used to look at them, I said, well, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I should, become family oriented too, which probably, well, it was good, but it wasn't. Okay. So anyway, it's so interesting how someone talks so much family this and family that, and we need to get together as a family all the time. But you let the family house go to shit, okay, because you're trying to destroy me, okay, and get money, okay, which I guess that's what the fuck you did, all right? You don't give a fuck about family. All right, I know you don't give a fuck about me, but that's okay. All right. But as far as you never have. So I'm used to it. Okay. But as far as she is concerned, I wanted to do this for myself. I want, because I like to share my life and stuff with people. And I wanted to share the woman that I knew. It's some days, that I feel like I don't even feel the attachment to her anymore. And this is long before she transitioned. I felt that way uh pretty much not long after I got away, when I saw what they were trying to do to me. Okay, when I saw that they were had these plans to destroy me, steal from me, and whatnot, and some of them are still trying it. Okay, I did like David and ran for my fucking life, because my life means way more than for me than yours. Okay. Now I just stay here and be sitting there and just let them kill, because they so important. That's an idiot. All right. But anyway, some days it's just like I don't feel any connection. I haven't for years. Okay. Which is interesting because it's like I felt such a strong connection to her before. But I knew them well, more than the last few years, I knew I was like, something is off. I always knew something was off, but her energy, her spirit to me changed. Okay. And like, maybe she was always that way. And I was seeing it, or maybe it was coming out, seeping through her pores as she got older. I don't know. Okay. But I still had an attachment to her, only in not so much of a feeling, but more so in the space of this is the lady who took me in and took care of me and fed me and clothed me, and who I called, mommy, who I called ma, who I said, I love you, mommy. I love you, ma. Who I shared my life with, and she shared some things with me about her life. Who, I mean, I was with her all the time, a lot. I'll put it like that. I was with her a lot. You know what I'm saying? So there is uh, a care that for her. I don't care for what she did. I don't hell no. I don't like that shit at all, and I don't excuse it. Okay, but I did look at it and say, like, where was she? Who was she actually? Who really was? Who really was she? Who was this woman? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, those are the pictures that I liked. Okay, a time that I have that I like, that I remember. Like I said, somebody swiped all the family pictures and kept it for themselves and didn't ask nobody shit. Okay, if they wanted some, if they want to look at them, nothing. You could even go in the motherfucker's house and pick up the photo albums and look at it. Can I look at the? No. Yeah, okay, just an evil ass motherfucker. Okay. And I could speak further on that, but I won't, with some shit she shared with me concerning that, but I won't. All right. But anyway, that's the end of that. All right. I got more videos for those who have subscribed to my other channel, my tarot channel. Thank you so much. I really wanted to show y'all my plants. Oh my God, I looked at my plants and I see all these little plants, all these little leaves just budding through. It's so pretty. All right. But I'll do that another time, another day. All right. So maybe next time I come on. All right. You all have favor. Peace.